Turkey city volunteers hold a distribution for Syrian refugees and unemployed residents. TIMA doctor Huang Zheng-chang continues his practice despite suffering from a stroke. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Siri Su. Thank you for joining us. The pandemic has worsened in Turkey. Before the movement control order, volunteers carry out distribution outdoors. The distribution aims to help Syrian refugees and unemployed residents. The baby cried as she waited for supplies. Poverty had forced many to grow up. A car and along with several volunteers set up distribution point outdoors, and with proper COVID prevention measures, cash cards were given to impoverished people.
When we met them, some told us that they received gifts. They felt really happy. It's because they felt that we're caring for them and treating them like our family.
For those that cannot make it, volunteers arrive at their doorstep, bring them daily necessities and medical items.
I have a high cholesterol, blood pressure. I also have heart disease and joint issues. During Ramadan, Tzu Chi's gift helped me with buying oil, beans, and sugar.
This distribution is very meaningful because it's during Ramadan. Families in need may receive help and feel the warmth of society.
There is also this Muslim volunteer who participated in the distribution while he's hungry. He wanted to do something meaningful during Ramadan.
This is my first time participating in this charity event, and I'm happy to see others feeling joyful. During Ramadan, I feel like I should participate in such meaningful work.
Patients has taught volunteers more about what the poor need. They've also learned how to cherish and share through this meaningful event. In India, the Missionaries of Charity and Camillians have cooperated with Tzu Chi to distribute pandemic prevention materials since last year. Under the pandemic, more people are asking for help in front of the church. Half of the sisters have contracted the virus, but they still fell for the poor. After they have recovered, they went on the streets to give care and distribute supplies.
It is a look of help knocking on the door of the church every day. Poor people begging on the street and sleep on the street. Because of the pandemic, they face even more difficulties. Sisters of Missionaries of Charity come to the street with supplies from Buddhist Tzu Chi Foundation. The air recipients have difficulties getting enough food and clothing, and even the necessary masks are luxury items. The sisters had to ignore the risk of catching the virus and hand them life-saving food. Even if half the sisters have been infected, but some have even passed away because of it. But after they have recovered, they were not afraid and personally comfort the suffering people. Since last year, the Missionaries of Charity in Kolkata and the Camillians in Bengaluru have all asked Tzu Chi for assistance. Before March this year, it helped nearly 200,000 people in need. The priests of the Camillians also took their supplies to 6 provinces to provide help to 1,053 villages.
There are very poor people and working in the field, farmers, most of them are farmers, and very poor people, they are coming from the situation, and so many are getting healed with a thankful heart they are going. So this is Sneha Charitable Trust and the Buddhist Tzu Chi Foundation, we are very so much thankful for them because it was really helpful for the poor people here.
The priests and sisters reach out to the sick and poor, proving that love transcends boundaries and religions.
In Suzhou, Jiangsu Province, China, there's a place called Tenxias Nutrition Kitchen of Love. This is a place where many families of blood cancer patients can rely on. Family members can prepare their own diet suitable for the patients, and everyone can encourage and support each other.
在苏州来看白血病的时候，我们是没有根的。
Volunteering in the Nutrition Kitchen of Love is his commitment and also hope.
因为有了城峡爱心厨房，
Because of Tenxias Nutrition Kitchen of Love, we then have a home that is also our safe harbor. When we encounter difficulties or are stressful, we can come to the station of love to release our pressure.
I usually tell other people that I could recover so well is all because of my mother's great effort.
Patients and their family members can get recharged at this station of love near the hospital.
Yesterday, I asked in the chat group whether I could come to cook meals today. They said yes. Then I asked if I needed to bring anything. They replied that I don't need to bring anything. The kitchen of love is everyone's kitchen. Everyone has to come together to make it clean and hygienic, so it becomes more convenient for other patients to come here.
Tenxia is the person who connected all tears into love. Because of the match from the Tzu Chi bone marrow registry bank, she was reborn in 2000 and returned to Suzhou to settle in 2016.
Ever since my mother and I first set up this kitchen of love, we have always been surrounded by patients and their family members. So everyone has developed this kind of nice and heartfelt care to treat the patients, just like the volunteers who care for the patients wholeheartedly. I think I have to fulfill the dreams of the patients surrounding me.
Blood cancer makes life like a candle in the wind, yet this love will make the candlelights become warmer and brighter.
In Lugang, Zhanghua County, this year's role model mother is Siri Su. Although she's 97 years old, her body is still healthy. She seizes every second to fulfill her life. Having devoted herself to Tzu Chi recycling for more than 20 years, she's content and grateful.
It is less than 100 meters from home to the recycling station. Grandma Su learns on walker and walks to the recycling station. She always sits on the same seat. Her best job is to cut off the PET bottle cap ring.
It is simple for me. I have been doing it for 10 years. I'm not just learning it now.
You did it fast. I'm too late to give you the PET bottles.
97-year-old with a clever eyes, she completed a bottle in 2 or 3 seconds. Grandma Su worked hard with her husband when she was young. She was content with a kind personality and gave 5 children the best example.
Be able to save a bite of food for others to eat. We never take advantage of others.
Our neighbors are very nice. They're good. I often tell my sister-in-law that my mother-in-law is our idol.
With the compassionate heart and filial children, Grandma Su won the Model Mother of the Lugang town this year.
I have to check my blood sugar every morning after I get up.
For more than 30 years, Grandma Su has been injecting insulin every day, and her heart has a pacemaker. But Grandma said that it is a blessing to be able to do work. Grandma Su, who has been doing recycling for 20 years, she seizes every second to make her life full of love and happiness.
TIMA doctor Huang Zheng-chang suffered from a brain hemorrhage 20 years ago, and he was in a coma for 18 days. When he woke up from it, the dexterity of his left hand and feet had been affected. However, he remains true to his calling as a TCM doctor and continues his practice.
精明穴它在我们360几个穴道全身的，只有这个精明穴可以进驻到4丘里面了，就这里，这个效果是这个精明穴效果最好。这个针是1寸的。
With concentration, Dr. Huang Zheng-chang, who suffered a stroke 20 years ago, is precise in his capacity to still practice acupuncture.
脑出血的同时，神经
I had a brain hemorrhage and my nerves were blocked. My senses and reactions have been slowed by half.
November 18, 2002, Dr. Huang suffered a brain hemorrhaging stroke. And with Eastern and Western medicine on his side, he was able to come out of his coma in 18 days. He became a miracle success story in the eyes of his doctor and also a beacon of hope for other stroke victims. Dr. Huang's patient, Mrs. Lin, suffered a stroke in 2019. She was left without the use of her left side. However, she's recovering thanks to her Western medicine and acupuncture.
The first stimulation point for stroke victims is Jingming point. It's the one near the eye. For this point, one must use a slow but relaxed steady hand to push the needle.
My husband knew a neighbor who had a stroke, and he arrived here for acupuncture treatment in a wheelchair and was able to walk out on his own. My husband suggested I come, and at first I used a cane to help me get around, but after 3 months I can walk on my own without help again.
Feeling like he had a second chance at life, Dr. Huang vowed to live it to the fullest by helping as many people as possible. TIMA has continued to safeguard the residents of Gongliao for the past 18 years by hosting free clinics every 2 months.
Tzu Chi has many free clinic points now. So wherever they need me, I'll go. If they need more doctors to attend, I'll attend.
No matter where we are missing doctors, he will go. He doesn't worry about the distance or his mobility. He attends without worrying about that.
We live away from the city and transportation is not accessible. Normally I head to the hospitals in Keelung, but they have free clinics here. It's much easier for us to not have to travel so far.
Though hindered by his physical disability, Dr. Huang's mind to help patients does not change, and he continues to follow his calling as a doctor.
During the process of planting mushrooms, plenty of waste is produced. In Taiwan, 500 million space bags are used, and 35,000 tons of sawdust is consumed during the process of producing mushrooms. Let's take a look at how this issue found its solution in Taiwan. Mushrooms are nutritious and beneficial, an ingredient that everyone likes. Planted in a tall ruin within bottles, these mushrooms occupy little space, yet production skyrocket each year.
Using vertical farming, normally we calculate up to 6 floors. 35 square feet can be utilized like a 213 square feet space.
Don't underestimate these small plastic bottles. Within it, besides cultivating sawdust, many nutritious elements are added in.
Bran, wheat bran, and barley, it provides great nutrition.
After bottling, each bottle is sent into the disinfection process into the mushroom cultivation room. Under manually controlled humidity, mushrooms flourish, yet the bottle cannot be used again after harvest.
The container is 1,100 grams, and the mushrooms produced weigh around 150 to 200 grams. Normally, the edible parts are about 150 grams.
The low-cost space bags produce greater amounts of edible food, yet it also produces greater amounts of waste. In order to increase production, many mushroom farmers use space bags. In order to block out germs during cultivation, space bags will be sealed with a plastic ring and a cotton piece will be utilized to block the opening. This increases the recycling cost for vendors.
These are bags for spawning mushrooms. The mushroom bags are black bags packed into space bags. One truckload of these costs around 10.5 thousand NT dollars. We have to pay it ourselves because there is cotton inside and it's hard to deal with.
The so-called spawning is a process where the hyphae grows from the bottom to the top in the space bag. This process takes about 4 to 5 months, yet if anything goes wrong, the bags have to be thrown away. Space bags containing sawdust and plastic bags have to undergo a separator, as plastic factories take the plastic particles, while sawdust is sold to organic fertilizer vendors. But relying on these two sources isn't enough to solve the issue.
When there is too much water in the space bag, when separating, sometimes sawdust and plastic bags cannot be separated, so it's hard to deal with. We must blend in dry material.
Waste mushroom bags consume time and effort. Mushroom farmers also paid a great price to recycle these bags, starting the unhealthy cycle of pollution.
People dump these bags under betel nut trees and burn the bags on their own.
After harvest, mushroom farms utilize nutritious remains as compost, applying it back onto the land. But current law restricts such action, therefore mushroom farms must send compost to a fertilizer production plant before using it.
Due to transportation, costs rise, and farmers care about their costs. So if compost comes with a high price, farmers will be unwilling to use it.
Many mushroom farms already have the ability to recycle waste, yet under the restriction of law order, it's hard to enforce local recycling. If it can be done, the processing of bags and compost will be low cost and efficient, creating a healthy cycle locally. In the grape garden, chickens and goose roam around clearing out pests, keeping the garden pesticide-free.
In the winter, we normally wear clothes to keep warm. Grapevines are also afraid of low temperature, as they were used to drawing warmers to stay warm.
The waste from the growing mushrooms arrive to our garden, and the bags under fermentation producing heat, so the heat keeps the vines from hibernating.
Keeping grapevines warm, these giant bags of mushroom waste, after adding in trichoderma, gives new life to this garden.
就顶就可以了，这已经是放一阵子了。那下面这些呢，都是会长一些根系啊，然后像是这个枝条什么的，都已经在开始腐烂了。
Under extreme weather, only this experimental garden produced astonishing results.
When the entire province produced 10 to 20%, our Taiping area produced about 80%.
Mushroom bags and compost can be left near plants. This not only increases the speed of leaf decomposition, it also produces the effect of moisturizing. We have saved up to 90% of water by doing so.
Using waste mushroom bags while creating a healthy economical cycle for the environment, the heart of goodness produced delicious fruits.
In Taiwan, because of its rich diversity of living creatures, the 3 northern islets have become outstanding fishing ground. However, there's news that the government is planning to develop offshore wind power in a sea area near the 3 northern islets. Scholars and environmentalists are calling on the government to consider its impact before taking actions. The 3 northern islets is a very important fishing ground in Taiwan. It takes up 2/3 of the area of Taiwan's fishing ground. Whether in terms of ocean ecology or land ecology, it is very important. Among the 3 northern islets, Huaping Islet is the closest to Taiwan. It is so small that people cannot land on the island, but seabirds love to live here. How is its sea area?
游标的标定点177。 船长声呐都关了哈。我们浮球的下面呢会。
Underneath that buoy, we hang a GoPro underwater camera and 2 underwater sound recorders. We want to listen to the sound of this environment.
这个里面的环境，它的声音是怎么样？
Through camera amplifier, the analysts can play the sound they recorded underneath the water.
其实现在水底下有很多枪。
In fact, underneath the water, a lot of alpine shrimp are actively making sound. This is the sound of alpine shrimp. Invertebrates or crustaceans may produce sounds like this.
The boats sail around Huaping Island, staying at 4 points for analysts to record the sound underneath the water. The analysis of underwater sound gives traditional diving investigation another reference index.
This ecosystem currently sounds like a traditional coral reef ecosystem, or reef ecosystem. Listening to the sound, we find a lot of sound made by alpine shrimp.
The same situation is taking place in the sea area surrounding Mianhua Islet. This shows that Mianhua Islet and Huaping Islet both have rich coral reef ecosystem. The captain said that seeing large sea turtle is not surprising. At 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, one can also find whales.
To inspect whales, we took 4 trips and we saw them 4 times. Sometimes, we saw them many times in one trip. In fact, the sea area is suitable for whales. After passing Keelung Islet all the way to Huaping Islet, some whales will appear regularly. With abundant nutritious salt, floating plants will appear. With floating plants, there will be floating animals. Floating animals provide places for small fish to gather. Having small fish means that the mother fish likes to come here and produce eggs because there is food for the children. So this food chain appears.
The rich ocean ecology has allowed the 3 northern islets to become the activity locations for fishermen in Keelung, Yilan, and New Taipei City. Every year, there is at least 100,000 tons of fish catch yield, which is worth at least 10 billion NT dollars. Recently, scholars who are conducting studies on behalf of Fishery Department of the Council of Agriculture have proven that the 3 northern islet sea area are the best fishing area in Taiwan. It meets 5 major qualifications.
First of all, the 3 northern islets are a continental area located between East Sea Continental Shelf and Okinawa True. It is a continental shelf fishing ground. Second, besides having valleys, do you see that there are valleys? There are also Keelung Islet, Huaping Islet, Mianhua Islet, and Pongjia Islet. There are also natural rocky reef and coral reefs in there, so it forms the so-called reef fishing ground. With reefs or currents, vortex currents will be formed. Back to what I said, the 5 factors leading to an outstanding fishing ground. Northern 3 islets have all 5 of them. This is one of the few outstanding fishing grounds in Northwest Pacific Ocean.
Considering the impact to fishermen if a national park is set up, government has enlisted Mianhua Islet and Huaping Islet as well animal protection zone. However, not long ago, there was news that the 3 northern islet might become the development site for offshore wind power.
It is here and here. Basically, these 2 areas are just located in the important fishing ground. Yes, you might ask what impact does it make on fishing industry. Of course, it is very important. Look, it directly involves Huaping Islet. It is a very strange behavior. This place is a very important fishing ground. Not to mention that it is the pass for migratory birds as they move. In addition, whales are very active here and seabirds might reproduce here. So this place is not really suitable for developing offshore wind power.
For recorders who have been observing the ecology of the northern islets, they are very worried.
I think that in terms of building wind energy supplies, there might be some difficulties. In fact, sea area does not need unnecessary development. This is better for the fishermen's work and the health of the sea area. After all, seabirds eat fish. If they develop this area, it will have an impact on the ecology here.
What is the future fate of the 3 northern islets? Can we save the most diverse fishing ground in Taiwan, or do we choose to develop energy? These are serious questions for Taiwanese people on Earth Day this year. In the United States, the New York chapter gets ready to sell some artworks for charity purposes. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.